بيكم أعزائي طلبة وطلبات الصف الثالث الإعدادي في حلقة جديدة من حلقات مادة الساينس تحت رعاية وإشراف وزارة التربية والتعليم. Today we are going to revise the last unit in our syllabus, which is Unit 4 about cell division and types of reproduction. At the beginning, we are going to move in all the parts of this unit. Let's start with memorization with the points of comparison or schedules of comparison. And each time you have a comparison, he will give you concerning to a certain point, but you have to memorize all the schedules together. Let's go and start with the first comparison together is between mitosis and meiosis. We considered before, and we know before, the mitosis and meiosis, they are the two main types of cell division. Let's go and see the first point of comparison in this question. Number one, he asks you, compare between them according to the site of occurrence. يعني بتحصل في which place. Mitosis, it occurs in somatic cells except neural and the blood cells. يعني all your body cells بيحصل فيها mitotic division except the neurons and the blood cells. While the meiosis occurs only in the reproductive cells. Let's memorize together, start to think and answer before I'm going to tell you the answer. So, the next point of comparison here, what are the importance of both? What is the importance of mitosis? Number one, it helps in the growth of living organisms. Number two, it compensates the damaged cells. And I said before, what's meant by compensation? يعني replacement of the damaged cells, either by scratching or surgery or whatever. So it compensates the damaged cell. By which type of division? It's by mitosis. So what about the importance of meiosis? Okay, it helps in the formation of gametes. The only importance of the meiosis division is the formation of gametes. طب let's memorize together what are the gametes. We have male gametes and the female gametes. In the male gametes is in the human or the animal is called sperms, or in the plants are pollen grains. طب what about the female gametes? Either in the human or the animals or in the plants, all of them are ova. All the gametes are called ova. This is the first type of comparison. The second comparison is between sexual and asexual reproduction. Let's go and see what are the points of comparison. At the beginning, we have to know that the sexual reproduction occurs between two individuals. By the first point, that the sexual reproduction happens between two individuals, either one male and the other is female. While the asexual reproduction, it occurs in only one living organisms. Yani no need for male and female in the case of asexual reproduction. Number two, it occurs in most multicellular organisms. This is the sexual reproduction. طبعا لازم بتحصل في higher organisms because there is male and female. So it occurs in the multicellular organisms, either animals or plants. طب what about asexual reproduction? It occurs in the unicellular organism. I said before, uni, it means that consists of only one cell, while multi consists of many cells. Number three, sexual reproduction depends on its happening على إيه؟ على which type of division؟ على meiotic division. يعني it happens by meiosis to produce gametes. While the asexual reproduction depends on mitotic division because it's a kind of division to increase only the number of cells, so it's only mitotic division. Sexual reproduction must require special organs or special systems in the male and the female to happen, while the asexual reproduction doesn't require any organs or any systems to require, because the cell itself divided mitotically to give new individuals and new offsprings containing the same number of the chromosomes of the parent cell. The last point here, that the new offsprings resulted from the sexual reproduction are combination between both the genetic properties of the male and the female, so it has its own property, its own characters, special characters for him. While the asexual reproduction, all the new offsprings are copy-paste from the parent cell. يعني حتة بالضبط typical from the parent cell because it's divided mitotically. Okay, let's go now and see another type of question which is very common question in the exams, which is right scientific term. Here the first one, it's a process where the organisms produced new individuals of genetic traits identical to the parents. So here my keyword here is the process that give offsprings identical to their parents. So the answer is asexual reproduction. Okay, second, it's the ability of the some animals to compensate the missing parts. نرجع كده نشوف أنهي نوع من ال reproduction in which the animals compensate its missing part يتقطع و compensation. Which one? Yes, of course, it's the regeneration, asexual reproduction by regeneration. The third one, it's formed in living organisms of the cell known as reproductive cells through meiosis. هنا بيسألني that something which is occur or happened من ال reproductive cells after ما بيحصل لها meiosis. إيه؟ It's gametes. Yes, the gametes reproduce from the reproductive cells, and it containing how many number of chromosomes? Of course, it contains haploid or n number of chromosomes. Next, it contains genetic materials from each parent. When it grows, it gives the new offsprings whose traits combine each parent's trait. هنا لازم نركز كويس جدا في الكويستشن. بيقول لي ايه؟ بيقول لي it contains something contains genetic material جايه من both parents from male and female. ايه اللي بيجي نتيجه الفيوجن between the two gametes of male and female? Of course it's the zygote. والzygote containing all the genetic materials from both male and female. So the answer is zygote. A phase in which some important vital processes occur to prepare the cell for division, and the genetic material in the cell is doubled. In this type of question, you have to know what's your key to answer. Here I have one key, which is the phase. طب أنا عندي many phases. طيب, I'm going to read the question carefully and underline the word that give me the answer, which is that the genetic material is doubled. In which phase the genetic material is doubled? Of course, in the first phase, in the preparing phase, which is called interphase. So the answer is the interphase. Next question. A phase in which the chromosomes migrates toward the cell equator. Of course, I know that all of you know the answer because you highlight the phase and the chromosomes migrate to the equator. So the answer is the metaphase. My keyword is equator. The answer is, of course, metaphase. It contributes in gene exchanging between chromosomes and chromatids and distributing them in gametes. Here I have a very important keyword, which is exchanging. In which phenomena the exchanging between the chromatids happened? Of course, which phenomena? It's crossing over phenomena. The only phenomena اللي خدناها اللي بيحصل فيها exchanging between the two internal chromatids together. So the answer is crossing over phenomena. A cell division that occurs in somatic cells. طبعا of course أول ما قرينا cell division أنا عارفة أن أنا عندي two types of cell division, either mitosis or meiosis. So here خدت نص الإجابة. طب I will complete the answer, the question, in which the somatic cells and resulted in growth of living organisms. Which type of them هو اللي بيساعد على ال growth of living organisms? Of course, mitosis or mitotic division. So the answer is mitosis. A type of the asexual reproduction that occurs in unicellular living organisms in which the nucleus mitotically divided. النيوكليوس بيحصل فيها mitotic division وبتبتدي تتقسم. أظن إن أنتوا بدأتوا تعرفوا الأنسر. And then the cell which represent the body of the unicellular organism start to split. يبقى أنا I have here two keywords, either that the nucleus start to divided and the cell itself start to split. What's meant by split؟ يعني تتقسم نصين. So عندي one type of asexual reproduction اللي بيحصل فيه splitting to the cell, which is the binary fission. Binary fission is the answer. They are threads-like bodies that represents in cell nuclei, and they represent the genetic material of the living organisms, and they chemically consist of nucleic acids, which is DNA. ايه الستراكشر اللي فيه كل الكومبينيشن اللي انا قلت عليها ده؟ طبعا هو الكروموزوم. So the answer is the chromosomes. It is the point of connection of the two chromatids of the chromosome. طب ال point of connection between the two chromosomes كانت اسمها ايه؟ Of course you know it. It's the centromere. It is the nucleic acid that carries the genetic traits of the living organisms. ايه هي النيوكليك acid اللي carry genetic materials? Of course you know the name of this nucleic acid, which is DNA. They are all body cell except the reproductive cells. They divided by mitotic division and they contain a diploid number of chromosomes. مين أنواع السل اللي هي بالديفيجن بتاعها بتعمل cell division by mitosis and it contains the double أو diploid number of chromosomes؟ هي مين؟ هي is the somatic cells. طبعا فيها diploid number of chromosomes وما بتيجي تعمل cell division it divided by mitosis. Fibers extends between the two poles of the cell in the prophase. ايه اسم الفايبرز اللي بتعمل spindle shape when during the phases of the cell division؟ هي مين؟ اسمها spindle fiber. It is the phase which is occurred before starting the cell division process. مين الفيز اللي بتحصل at the beginning خالص في ال starting of the cell division and in which the cell prepared itself by occurrence of some important biological processes and duplication of the genetic material. هي a which phase? It is the interphase. Let's move now to another type of question, which is studying some figures on the board together, and we are going to see kind of different questions about those figures. Let's go and see. Let's see this type of question which studying figures and answer the following question. Let's see the first figure. Write the name of the following phases. Here I have the first phase. You have to consider in this type of question, you look to the figure quite well and see what happens inside this figure and then start to answer. Here I see the nucleus and I'm going to count the number of chromosomes inside the nucleus and then I'm going to see which is the figure representing which is prophase. The first one in which لسه nucleus فيها nuclear membrane والchromosomes بدأت تتشكل وتاخد الشكل بتاعها, so it's a prophase. Let's see the second figure. Here I have the same structure, but look here in the nucleus, there is double of the chromosomes. The two homologous pairs of chromosomes are together. So here difference between here a single chromosome, but here homologous pairs of chromosomes. So the answer here is prophase 1, because here in the meiosis, but there in the mitosis. The difference here by mentioning that there is homologous pairs of the chromosome. Next figure. Here I have one of the phases of the cell division in which the chromosomes are arranged in the equator. So which one? Of course you know it's a metaphase. Let's move to the other one. I have this figure in which the Also, the chromosomes are arranged in the equator, but how many chromosomes? Homologous pairs of chromosomes. Of course, it's metaphase, but metaphase 1, which is happening during meiosis division. I'm going to put them to compare between the two figures in front of you, so actually you are going to answer it very easy. Here, the next one. Here, the cell started to be divided. هتبتدي والfibers start to pull the homologous pairs of chromosomes, and here you can recognize the appearance of the changing in the color of the edges of the inner edges of the chromosomes after the crossing over phenomena. So here طبيعي جدا احنا فهمنا انها هتبقى في meiosis. طب which phase here that happening the pulling? It's anaphase 1. Don't ever ignore the 1, because here you are going to speak about the meiosis. So anaphase 1. Next one. Here I have the same phase, but here you can see only the chromatids هي اللي بتسحب بتتشد pulling with the spindle fiber. So it's anaphase only because it is mitotic division. So here it's anaphase. Next one. Here, of course, you know that it is here the cells started to be divided into two cells, each one containing the same number of chromosomes. So here it's the telophase. Okay. Next one. Here the cell started to divide it, but containing more than the number of chromosomes. Here containing the whole number of chromosomes, not the half number of chromosomes. Here whole number of chromosomes, but here containing half number of chromosomes. So it's telophase 1 during meiosis division. Telophase 1. Here we summarized all the phases in all these shapes, so you are not going to be confused between them. Let's move to another type of figures. Here in front of you, can you recognize it? So it is, of course, it's the chromosome. Let's see the question. Label the following. هيديني كده arrows على parts, so I'm going to label it. This one represented what? Two chromatids. Two chromatids. طب what about the center here is called what? It's called centromere. Another question. Mention the chemical structure. Here, when we explain it by label, we define the structure of the chromosome. But when we are going to speak about the chemical structure, يبقى عندي ايه chemical structure of chromosome? Chromosome chemically consists of DNA and proteins. Next one. Here, the opposite figure represents a biological phenomena which is very, very important phenomena. What is the name of this phenomena? Of course, all of you know it. It is crossing over phenomena. It's a crossing over phenomena. The next question. Mention the name of this phase which is phenomena occurred. الفيز اللي بتحصل فيه الفينومينا. Which phase? Of course, you know all of you at the end of prophase 1. So it happens in prophase 1. Mention the kind of division which this phase belongs to. طيب ايه في انهي نوع من السيل ديفيجن؟ دايما بنتلخبط between الفيز والسيل ديفيجن. الفيزز احنا عارفينها انافيز، تيلوفيز، بروفيز and so on. But here him asking you about the phase اللي بتحصل فيه. You know that it happens during meiosis. طب in which phase؟ هنشوف in which phase. In meiosis division. In which phase قلناها اللي هي prophase 1. What is the importance of this phenomena? طب احنا قلنا قبل كده ان this phenomena is very important biological phenomena. Why? To give an individuals اللي بتطلع not copy paste of each other. So it causes variation and very important. الامبورتنس بتاعتها it leads to variation among living organisms of the same species. ما تبقاش كل المخلوقات شبه بعض بالظبط، يحصل variation among living organisms. ما نبقاش احنا copy paste من our parents. So because of this phenomena. Next. Here I have type of reproduction. I'm going to ask me about the name of this reproduction. Mention the type of reproduction happens in this cell. يا ترى ايه نوع reproduction؟ طبعا all of you know it's a sexual reproduction. طب اسمه ايه؟ It's reproduction by binary fission, in which the cell is divided, giving out two identical daughter cells similar to the parent cell. Let's see the next question. What is the result of reproduction? اهو احنا قلنا نفس الكلام. The result of this reproduction بيطلع لي identical or similar cells to the parent cell. بالظبط شبه ال parent cell. So you have to mention that the cells are identical to the parent cell. Next one, I have this figure and you're going to ask me some questions about this figure. What is the name of this process? كلنا عارفين ال process دي اسمها ايه؟ It's formation of gametes. أو the first step in the meiosis division, it is formation of gametes. Which type of division it happens? بتحصل فين؟ I mentioned it now. It happens during meiosis division. أول step في meiosis division اللي هي formation of gametes, either represented by circles دي represent the ova if the reproductive cell is ovaries, or sperm if the reproductive cells is testes. طب mention the number of chromosomes in the resulted cells. طب number of chromosomes in each cell من الجاميتس اللي ديت either it's haploid ولا diploid. Of course you know all of you it's haploid يعني containing n chromosomes which is haploid number of chromosomes. نص العدد الكروموسومز بتاع المين reproductive cells. Here I have another living organisms which is sporangium and spores. طيب هيسألني أكيد question مهم جدا. Mention the type of reproduction in this figure. You know it's a sexual reproduction but اسمه إيه؟ by من اللي طالع منه ده by اسمه spore propagation. يبقى it's reproduction by spores propagation. This in which living organisms it takes place. في أي نوع من living organisms أو he mentioned some types of organisms اللي بتعمل reproduction by this sporangia أو بالspore propagation. You know bread mold fungus قلنا اللي هو بيعمل spoiling للفود either fruits or bread or whatever. إيه تاني؟ mushrooms fungus. إيه كمان؟ algae. All those living organisms are reproducing by spore propagation. Next one. Here I have another type of asexual reproduction and you're going to ask me question. Mention the type of reproduction in this figure. Of course you can see here formation of bud. So it's reproduction by budding. It's reproduction by budding. It happens in which living organisms? It happens in the yeast fungus. When I said before the yeast fungus هي الخميرة which you put it in the baking, so it increases the size and the amount of the baking. In which living organism it takes place? It takes place قلنا في yeast fungus only. Here I have another figure. He wants me to label these figures. The first figure here representing the sperms. And this is the ovum. Ovum, I said ovum, only one ovum. Type, this process كلها عبارة عن إيه? Mention the name of this process. Of course, it's sperms combination with sperms and ova, so it's the fertilization process. Finally, we reach this part. Now let's move to another type of questions. We have here give reasons, which is very important question, and all of you know quite well that is very important. The first question here is give reason for chromosomes are considered as genetic materials for the cell. ليه chromosomes considered genetic material for the cell? Because they contain the genes that carry the genetic traits of living organisms. جوه الكروموسومز فيها ال DNA والبروتين, all of them are the carrier of the genetic properties of living organisms. Next, the cell undergoes an interphase before cell division. ليه في interface process before cell division. So let's go and see. To prepare the cell division during with some important biological processes which leads finally to duplication of genetic material. يبقى لازم أقول to prepare the cell to the cell division by duplication of the amount of the genetic material. Meiotic division is called by reduction division. ليه بسمي الميوتك reduction؟ أكيد عشان في حاجة بتطلع منه. إيه هي؟ Because the product cell أو the produced cells containing half number of chromosomes. عشان كده بيحصل reduction، بيقلل haploid number of chromosomes عن الأوريجينال cell. The gametes are often N while the somatic cells are often 2N. هنا بدل ما يقول لي haploid و diploid جايب لي counting ب N و 2N. هقول له ليه؟ Because the gametes produced by A by meiosis division. الجاميتس بتطلع بالميوزس ديفيجن ولسه قايله ان هو reduction division, so it's of course containing N. While the somatic cells produced by which type of cell division? By mitotic division. The laser is used for the treatment of cancer by nanotechnology. احنا عارفين ان الكانسر ده عباره عن some type of tumors بتحصل نتيجه السيلز بيحصل لها ميتوزس ديفيجن وبتدوبليكيت itself وهي it's dangerous cell. هي عباره عن خليه مريضه، هي diseased. طيب ليه الليزر بيعمل لها treatment؟ Because the nanomolecules of gold بتstuck to this بتمونيتور بتدور على الكانسر سيل دي وبتحول الليزر او الهيت of the laser light of the laser into heat which is going to kill the abnormal tumor cells. Now it's the last question in our final revision for the unit 4. Thank you so much for your good listening and prepare yourself for another kind of revision by making a model exam generally for all the syllabus waiting for you. Thank you so much and goodbye.